It's the weekend. How's everybody doing? I hope you're having a great Saturday. Oh. Well, you can tell I'm in the house, right? Naturally, the delivery comes exactly when you are starting your daily distinction. So they were so quiet until I went on. You can't plan that, right? Oh, man. Evidently there's some delivery or something because the doorbell just rang. So, hi, how's everybody doing? Welcome to my world here with the barking dogs and everything going crazy. Hey, Brian, great to see you. Thanks for being here. Yeah, on the weekends I try to do a shorter program and do something a little more casual, a little different, and get some work done. Just sitting here at the kitchen and. Naturally, the dogs bark as soon as it starts. So, hey, it's great to be with you today, and thank you for taking time to watch Daily Distinction on a Saturday afternoon. I'm really glad that you're here. And today's topic is about seeing the best in others. Right? I was on a Facebook discussion a couple of nights ago, observing it. I didn't get in it because of the rampant negativity of the posts. And it was like whatever anyone said. Have you seen this on Facebook? Have you seen this on social media? I'm sure you have. You have to have seen it because it is rampant. And it's people assuming that whatever anyone says, absolutely the worst intentions are involved. And so it really bothered me that people, and some of the people arguing with each other are people that didn't know each other, but I know both of them. And I wanted to go for both of them. I want to go, you're better than this. Don't descend into this. And it was as if everybody was assuming the worst about everybody else. And I think that's going to be difficult. So that's what we're going to talk about real quickly on an abbreviated Saturday version here today. Hey, Weldon, sounds like your house. Yeah, and the timing was perfect, man. They've been perfect. Hey, Scott, yeah, we got good watchdogs. They're little things, but they're loud, right? So, hey, Pam, yes, it's flying when it's going by, isn't it? You bet. We're having so much fun. Curtis, great to see you. Hope everything's good with you. Hey, Brian Hess, how are you? Oh, I really appreciate that. Thank you. That is so kind of you to say about Iconic. That's a real privilege, and working with the publisher again at Forefront Books, which is an imprint of Simon & Schuster. We've got the next book, just got some of the galleys back on that, and really, really excited. So that's that's coming up. So it really means the world to see it. Brian, thank you. Thank you so much for that. Yeah, it's Mike, it's awful when people, the negativity, when people are assuming the worst, looking for the best in others. John, it's great to see you too, by the way. It's like mining for gold. You got to move tons and tons of dirt, but you don't go looking for dirt. You go looking for gold. I love that. That's exactly. Oh, that is so good. That is so good. So that's it. We've got to do that. We've got to look for the best. Thanks, Mike. I appreciate it. And Charles, always great to see you from the East foothills of San Jose. That's fantastic. So why should we assume the best in others? I mean, I think a lot of us, by the simple nature that you're watching this, we're the kind of folks that do that, right? I mean, very few of the folks who tune in every day to this, or particularly would tune in on a weekend, are the kind of people that look for the cloud around the silver lining. Right? I mean, the kind of people that brighten the room when they leave it. Most of us do tend to look for the good. But let's examine that just a little bit, maybe drill a little bit deeper into it. When we look for the good in others, it is technically called the assumption of positive intent. That's the psychological term for it, the assumption of positive intent. We assume that intent is going to be positive. Prove us wrong. I'm going to assume that there's something positive about your intent, and prove me wrong. Fellow I haven't seen forever, and he and I were in the same speakers bureau, exclusive with the same speakers bureau. When my speaking career first got started, was a guy named George Fields, and George said, "I'm an inverse neurotic. I believe the world is out to do me great." I never forgot that. I'm an inverse neurotic. The world, everybody in the world's out to do something good for me. I love that viewpoint, right? It's a great viewpoint. So what is the assumption of positive intent, and how can we make that happen? And Scott, a lot of people believe everything they hear and never research the facts. And that, oh, good grief, you're getting me on my soapbox here, my friend. I'm telling you, it just kills me how many people will repost. And hey, we've all slipped up, but I mean some outrageous stuff, and repost it and believe it, and never check to see if it's true or not. And they just assume it's on the internet, it must be true. It's on Facebook, must be true. And oh my gosh, some of the things that have been said and some of the posts that have made under quotes of people that never said it. Oh my gosh, it's you're so right, Scott. Well, Lynn, thank you. We're trying to find that silver lining together here. That's what it's all about. Charles, if you missed the opening, all you missed was my dogs barking, because right when I started, evidently something got delivered to the front porch, doorbell rang, dogs went crazy, so you didn't miss much. So what we're talking about here today is the assumption of positive intent. And here's specifically what that means. It means that no matter what, you go in with the assumption that the person had good intentions. So what if it doesn't fit with what you see as being good? Well, we've got to identify the details and get the big picture. For example, if somebody might say something in today's highly charged society that we might say, oh, they're just out, fighting the police. But if we knew the details about perhaps maybe they'd been pulled over, maybe they'd been mistreated, maybe they had a situation of their own that created the perspective that they had. And what they're saying is really to improve relationships between the police and their community. We might have a totally different viewpoint of it. But if we assume the worst, we're going to assume that they're saying one thing when really from their heart, they're saying something else. And it all begins with our perspective. If you watch every day, you've heard me ask the question before, but this topic, it bears repeating. How many of you believe that people always behave rationally? I see not too many hands going up there. I'm going to suggest to you people always behave rationally from their point of view. Now, the problem is we don't have a similar point of view, and we don't see things through the same perspective. And I'm not saying that we have to believe them. I'm not saying we have to agree with them. I'm not saying it makes them right. I'm not saying that at all. But I am saying that from their perspective, there's a reason they believe what they believe. There's a reason that they're choosing what they're choosing. There is a reason that all of this is coming through. Very few people wake up and say, man, I'm going to do something irrational today. Look out, here I come. When you ask them why do you believe this? Why do you think this? Why are you promoting this? Don't they always have a reason? Now, you don't agree perhaps with the reasoning, but from their standpoint, it's very rational. So when we presume that there is a reason why they're coming here with this, then we can start moving towards a more civilized, interesting discussion. Pam, I love the quote there about looking for the gold. It was so true. Hey, Tim, thank you for saying that. I really appreciate that. If we don't, we're going to just grind our wheels into the ground. It's Jeff, what a great line. Storms, not all storms come to disrupt your life. Some come to clear your path. That's right. We got to grab some perspective on this. So the assumption of positive intent means that no matter what, we're going to assume the person has good intentions. It just means we need to know more of the details, and we need to see the big picture of why they're coming from where they're coming from. All right, so what if they do have negative intentions? I mean, what if, let's assume the other side. Let's assume, what if they do have negative intentions? And I think the response to that is, it's not your problem. We're going to assume that they have positive intentions, but if they have negative intentions, it's not our problem, because we realize you can't inspire better actions from a negative perspective. We can't inspire better actions through our own negative behavior. In other words, as Mom always used to say, 2 wrongs don't make a right. And if the other person does have negative intentions, and if the other person is negative in their approach, us getting more negative does nothing but gets us down in the dirt with them. You know, that's not where I want to live. And I don't think it is where you want to be either. So part of that is just the choice. It is the discipline. It is the decision that if they are coming with negative intent, I feel sorry for them. Not my problem. I wish they had a better life. And I realized that I can't inspire better outcomes with a negative perspective. I just don't believe it's possible. I don't believe you solve problems. Now, I wrote in my last book, Iconic, that it's important to go negative. Here's what I meant by that. And if you read the book, you know, is that I think a lot of times we sugarcoat things or we don't drill deep enough into what our problems are. I think that's a problem right now. I mean, for example, you know, I'm talking to a friend of mine whose son is a police officer. And part of what we were talking about was that one of the challenges that he realized that he faced, you know, when he first became a police officer was it's not just, you know, not just arresting bad guys and solving crime, right? It's you've got people with mental illness that are on the streets. You've got people that are homeless. You've got people that are in all these, and it seems like part of what we've done, and it's, I don't mean to get on a soapbox here, but part of what we've done in our culture is to abdicate a lot of the things to fix this mess because we want to sugarcoat. The police take care of it. And so you've got young people who aren't getting paid. Isn't it interesting that if you think about some of the most important roles in our nation, I think of three. I think of teachers, I think of police officers, and I think of political figures. And I wouldn't want to be any one of those three. How about you? We don't pay them adequately for what they do. We don't respect them as much as we should. And parents have advocated discipline problems to teachers, and society has advocated, you know, helping out with mental illness and everything else to police officers. And who in the world, you know, we get the politicians we deserve, whatever side you're on, because would you really want to do it? Would you give up? Most of us say no. Most of us won't. And so what we have to understand is we got to get more positive to solve these problems. John says, if their intentions aren't good, simply ask, why would a reasonable, rational person behave this way? You're right, John. You're right. If their intentions aren't good, what do they expect to accomplish? I think for some of them, coming from my own biased viewpoint, is, you know, I think for some of them, they're looking for attention. I think that's really at the heart of it. And I think it's about me. I'm getting a little frustrated with all of the posts that I'm seeing from every CEO on the planet, broadcasting to the world about how they feel about what's going on right now. Don't get me wrong. I want them to do it, but I'd rather have a CEO say, you know, everybody's putting out a letter. We're just going to get to work. Actions speak louder than words, right? Don't. When I was a kid, the first R-rated movie I ever saw was a movie called Kentucky Fried Movie. I wasn't supposed to see it, right? But there was this commercial in there from a company that had these beautiful, you know, it was, I think it was like an oil company was what it was supposed to be. And, you know, it had polluted, you know, it was obviously had polluted everything, you know, it was this back in the 70s. And they had a fake newscast, which is kind of the precursor to the news on Saturday Night Live. And they ran the commercial, and it's this company, and it's this beautiful lake. And it said, we didn't do anything to the lake except make this gorgeous commercial to tell you that we're doing absolutely nothing. But isn't it pretty? You know, and that's not the quote exactly, but it struck me how funny it was that the corporation spent a lot of money to create this beautiful commercial instead of spending that money to clean up the lake. And you know, I see that going on right now too. Let us tell how much we're all for this. Show me, right? I mean, I'm going to believe you have the best intentions, and that's what we're talking about today. But I'm also looking for results, and those two can go hand in hand. Those two can go side by side. My wife is watching me on mobile right now as we speak. Hi, honey. That's good too. Hey, Ann, happy Saturday to you too. Oh, your first R-rated movie is Blazing Saddles. You probably could not have picked a better one. That's good. When do you see the tide of what people say about what is going on changing and getting back to work? Bill, it's got to happen, doesn't it? I mean, we've got to do that. But I think there's going to be some permanent changes. I really do. I think there are going to be some permanent changes. But the question is, what are those changes going to be? And how are we going to proceed? Do we proceed in a positive way? I was listening to a thing this morning. It was really interesting. It was about what we say and how it means different things to different people. You can say defund the police. And for some people, that means we want to abolish the police force and we want to, in some kind of utopian crazy thing. And for other people, it means, we're not going to expect them to deal with the homeless anymore. We're going to move that funding over to social services so they can handle that to free the police to do what they're really hired to do. Both of those would fit under the thing of defund the police. But we have there's part of the problem. I may say it, and there again, we get back to intentions. I may say that, meaning let's move some of the money around so the police can focus on where we really need them and what we need them to do. Let's move other money to social services to handle some of the things that police shouldn't be handling necessarily or aren't equipped or trained deeply enough to effectively handle it in ways that they should. And it depresses them and it gets them tired. And then it puts them in other situations, so I'm not trying to excuse anybody's behavior by a long shot, but these are some of the conversations that we need to have. And we can have positive intentions, but go negative on what's going there. But I don't mean be negative. I mean, we need to drill deeper to get some real answers. That's part of the problem, I think, in elections. It's part of the problem with leadership in organizations. Yes, we need a high concept. We need a point. We need a saying, whether, and the last two campaigns had some really interesting ones from just a marketing perspective. Make America Great Again was a great theme. I mean, you could grab the sense of what that was about. Hope and change with Obama was a great theme because it was really what we were looking for in terms of the differences of countries. So from a marketing standpoint, not a political standpoint, from a marketing standpoint, that was solid. But now we have to drill deeper and get more than a soundbite. It's got to be more than that. It's like a company that has a soundbite for its ads, but the product and the service is terrible. We got to go deeper. The danger of these soundbites is they're way open to have a wide variety of meanings. And Bill, I think that's part of the intent. Because if I could be really general and more people don't understand it, it's a tricky way to communicate. It's a tricky way to say it. Yeah, I think you're exactly right. Here's what you get when you have positive intent. When you have that positive intent and you believe in the best of others, number one, people start trusting you more. We tend to be more trusting of positive people than of negative people. And part of that is just our self-selection in terms of what we talk about. If I've got something I want to get some feedback on or I want to talk to people about, I'm going to go to somebody positive and not somebody who's going to immediately shoot down my idea. I trust them more to give me honest feedback. So people start trusting you more when they perceive that you think that they have good intentions. Second, people start communicating with you more. When they believe that you believe in them, they start communicating with you more. Just makes sense, doesn't it? I mean, if I believe that you don't believe in me, if I believe that if I said the sky is blue, that you would argue with me, I mean, look outside today, it's gray. What's the matter? Right? If I believe that about you, that no matter what I say, you're going to shoot it down, I will shut down my communication. I'll shut it down. It's a problem in marriages. It's a problem in offices. It's a problem everywhere, that if I perceive that my spouse or that my boss or that whatever is going to shoot down anything I talk about, and they don't believe I've got good intent in bringing it, I'm just going to stop communicating. So the more that we do this, the more people are going to communicate with us. And by the way, when they communicate more with us, then a third thing happens, and that is opportunity is presented to you more. Because the more people trust you and the more people are communicating with you, it's just natural that you're going to have more opportunity. Here's my favorite quote on this. Too often we judge other groups by their worst examples while judging ourselves by our best intentions. Now, let's unpack that one for just a second before we go on to the second sentence. In other words, what we do is to look at a group, whatever that group might be, whether it's the way that we look at blacks in society if we're white and don't have connectivity and communication with them, might be how any of us look at police, or it might be how we look at demonstrators, whatever it is. Too often we will judge that group by their worst example. We judge the group by their worst example. But wait, we want them to judge us by our intentions, which is kind of hard for them to know what we intend. And this has strained our bonds of understanding and common purpose. It has. That's a great quote. That judging others by their worst example and judge ourselves by our best intentions, it has strained the bonds of understanding and common purpose to renew our unity. And whether we're talking about as a group, as an office, as a family, as a nation, we only need to remember our values. Funny how it gets back to that so often, isn't it? We've never been held together in the United States, according to this speaker, by blood or background. We are bound by things of the spirit, by our shared commitments to common ideals. And while he is not known for eloquence, I think that quote is hard to beat. And regardless of what you thought of him as a president, that's a very insightful statement from George W. Bush. That's what it's all about right there. If we started judging others, assuming they had the best intentions, rather than judging them by their worst examples, we'd probably be better off. So why would we assume the best in others? It's the way that we get the best for ourselves, and it's the way we begin to get the best for our business, for our families, for our country. That's what it's all about. Hey, I look forward to joining you again tomorrow at same time, 3 o'clock Eastern, noon Pacific. And also the reminder that coming up tomorrow night, of course, tomorrow night is I need to revise this because it's the Glenn and Scott show without a guy named Ken. Ken's on vacation. He's in Florida, or heading to Florida as we speak, and he'll get there tomorrow. But it's just going to be Glenn and myself tomorrow night. We're just going to be talking about all kinds of good stuff. So join us tomorrow night at 8 o'clock Eastern, 5 o'clock Pacific for the Ken and Glenn show with a guy named Scott without the guy named Ken. That'll be coming up tomorrow. Also, the reminder that you can get all kinds of free resources available for you at distinctionnation.com. At distinctionnation.com, we've got a 14-day audio program that you can download and listen to and help you get the values and principles that we've talked about here in line with your goals, in line with your daily activities. So you work through that program, and by the time it's done in a couple of weeks, you are creating personal distinction. And there's also other free resources for you there as well. Cost you nothing. Just go sign up at distinctionnation.com. And by the way, if you haven't done it yet, take a look at our Facebook page. Just search for Daily Distinction and sign up. And go out there and assume the best in everybody. Hey, Nancy, great to see you. Yeah, you do. You're just going to see me one tomorrow night, and that's going to be Glenn. But I'll look forward to seeing you tomorrow night as well. Scott, thanks. It's always a privilege that you take time to join in, and always great seeing you. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Charles. Thanks for taking time to watch today, and I hope you'll join me again tomorrow on our next episode of Daily Distinction. Have a great day, everybody.